Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Satyology Debunking Mythology. Today we have a very special guest. And Sat, before we get started, I have to say in person, I cannot record this and put it out there as many of you have suggested. The simple reason is it adds personal touch and it gives more authenticity. And every time I repeat it, I also get convinced. So Sat means truth, Logos means a study of science, Satyology means a science of truth, study of truth. And it is an antonym of mythology, where myth means a fake lie imagination, and combined with logos, it becomes a science of fake, study of fake, or a study of lie. So today we are going to talk about a very important subject matter, and which is we are looking at uh, the
Data of
top.
Adi Shankara.
Yes, Adi Shankaracharya. Today we are looking at the dates of Adi Sankaracharya. Now, Adi Sankaracharya has a very big contribution to our society. I love him because he wrote two things. One is Gita Mahatma and second is Jagannath Ashtakam. Both are amazing poems. His work, and we did another show on Adi Shankaracharya a few months back with another great speaker, the Princess of Travancore, Lakshmi Nalapad. And and we did speak about how he was born, where he was born, and what was his contribution. Many poems which we sing, Lalita Ashtakam, all these were composed by him. And we also went to his birthplaces and different places last time. Today we have very special guest who has done a lot of research and a lot of work on it. I have deep respect for him. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Vedveer Arya.
Namaste, Aditya ji.
Namaste. So Vedveer, this when we talk about Adi Sankaracharya, first of all, Sankaracharya spelling pronunciation has to be different. Right? It's not Shankaracharya, it's Sankaracharya. Am I right?
It depends on the accent because in South India, especially in Andhra, they
Uh-huh.
call it Sankaracharya. But actually, in a Sanskrit, there is a Sha, and Sa.
Yeah.
So we have a Talavya. There is every consonant has a different place in our mouth. So
Mm.
generally, the grammarians they have allocated it actually a scientific study of human voice. So that's it has to be Talavya. So then it is the Shankaracharya.
Mm.
But if it is, there is a very basic difference, Sha or Sha. That Sha is Murdhanya,
Mm.
and where the Sha is Talavya. Sa is Dantya. These are the three differences: Sha, and Sa.
Yeah. The reason why it is called Sankaracharya or Sa with a Sa and not with a
Mhm.
Sha is because he was outside the Varna. So it was called
Mhm.
Varna Sankara. So there's Sankaracharya. That also shows that the the birth has no connection with spiritual advancement. You can be born in any Varna, but still you can become the guru of the entire society. So that was the meaning of Sankaracharya, because it is mentioned in the many of the Shastra also. So, so without delay, let us get started on the timelines of Adi Sankaracharya. I'm also very curious to know, because even though we know, but we do not know so many details. So you can share.
Hmm. Yeah, Aditya ji, we have our the traditional chronology because Indians very keenly studied their history and maintained the certain important dates, and especially from Mahabharata onwards, we have an account of complete chronological history. But during the colonial era, there were certain challenges. Actually, certain mistakes have been happened during the I think last 1,000 years after the 10th or 11th century onwards. So the real challenge was to solve those chronological problems. So as per my research, the Adi Shankaracharya was born in the 5600 and 568 568 BC, almost 2568 years before, 88 years before. The real problem in Indian chronology is actually there were certain two monumental mistakes in the traditional chronology. What are those? That is, the first is, I have, I think many times I have explained it. This is the confusion between ancient Shakaira and the later Shakaira. So actually, there were two different Shakairas. This I have already explained. If we may even discuss further in a very detail how these two epochs got merged into a later epoch. That led to a chronological error of 661 years in Indian chronology. And the Indian chronological history has been brought forward by 661 years due to this mistake. And there were actually two different Vikrama calendars, so both had a different epochs. But in a later period, we have assumed there was only one epoch. Actually, the Western India, Gujarat, and even some parts of Madhya Pradesh, they follow the Kartikadi Vikrama calendar. An epoch began in a Kartika month. So that calendar had a different, that actually ancient Vikrama era. And later Vikrama Samvat that followed a Chaitradi calendar. So both epochs were different, but in a later period, we just, because both were referred to Vikrama, Krita, Manavagana, due to that, we just, actually the main issue was with the Shakaira. Due to these errors, Indian chronology or chronological history was brought forward by around 661 years. And then another chronological error of 660 or more is an assumption. Actually, Jain historians committed a certain mistakes by identifying the Bhadrabahu's disciple Vishakhacharya, who was earlier known as Chandragupta, and he was the king of Ujjain. But historians have identified the Chandragupta, the disciple of Bhadrabahu, with the Chandragupta Maurya. Actually, Chandragupta Maurya lived before Mahavira, as per traditional chronology. But due to this mistaken identification, the Buddha and Mahavira both became contemporaries. So, this was another chronological error committed. Actually, these two errors took place before the arrival of Britishers. But we followed religiously our own traditional chronology. We had the Mahabharata era somewhere in the 32nd century BC. Then after 1300 years after Buddha Nirvana. Then we have a from Mahabharata era to from Parikshit birth or Mahabharata war to Nanda's 1500 years. And we have traditional dating of Adi Shankaracharya was in the 6th century BC. But since the Buddha's date has been brought forward by 1300 years, now Adi Shankaracharya's date was also brought forward by another same 1300 years, because Adi Shankaracharya repeatedly refers to certain Buddhist scholars like Dingnag, Dharmakirti. So Dharmakirti flourished almost 1300 years after Buddha Nirvana. So you can't place Adi Shankaracharya somewhere close to Buddha's date. The way presently Buddha is being dated somewhere 483 BC. Why the error in the dating of Buddha is due to these two monumental blunders in the traditional chronology. If we correct it, then the entire traditional chronology is absolutely correct. So let us see what are the inconsistencies in the modern textbooks. Like the Kalidasa, traditional history says that Kalidasa flourished in the 1st century BC. He was in the court of Vikramaditya. Varahamihira was his senior contemporary. Actually, there were Navaratnas in the court of Vikramaditya. And Vikrama era, if we are still following, even we have a continuous epigraphic evidence from somewhere 50, 60 years after the epoch of Vikrama era to till date, more than thousands of inscriptions are there. So epigraphic, literary evidence, even traditional evidence, every evidence establishes that an epoch of Vikrama era commenced in 57 BCE, and certainly king of Ujjain, known as Vikramaditya certainly existed in the 1st century BC, and Kalidasa, Vikramaditya were in his court. And Kalidasa wrote one Jyotirvedabharanam text on astronomy, and he gives exact date in this one. He says that he is writing this book in the 33 BC. Actually, he refers to the Kali Yuga epoch. He used Kali Yuga epoch and gives the date 3068. So when you calculate from 3101 BC onwards, that is the 33 BC. So entire internal evidence, literary evidence suggests, even epigraphic evidence, because epigraphic evidence is Aihole inscription. Aihole was written by Ravikirti, and he mentions the name of Kalidasa. And that inscription, if we correct the Shaka epoch, 583 BC, so the Aihole inscription is dated in 27 BC onwards. So Kalidasa exists in the 1st century BC. But what happens modern textbooks? They don't, since Kalidasa refers to 445 Shakaira, then he has to be dated after 500 AD only. But the problem is there was no Vikramaditya. Then what they did, they identified Vikramaditya with the Gupta Chandragupta, and Gupta Chandragupta, the Chandragupta II, and his he can only be dated because his reign has been dated between 375 to 415 AD. So Kalidasa has to be dated during his time. So somewhere modern historians date Kalidasa around 400 AD. Now the problem is the internal evidence. Okay, what modern historians do? They simply reject the Jyotirvedabharanam as a fictitious text, or they say a forged text, or somebody else has written in the name of Kalidasa. But these are all a kind of a concocted theories and a blatant distortions in Indian history, because Kalidasa gives complete details in this one, and the details of Navaratnas. Even he gives the date and various facts, or various astronomical facts referred in the Jyotirvedabharanam. It absolutely establishes that has to be dated in the 1st century BC. Even if we take the modern, whatever the chronology has been given in the modern textbooks, Kalidasa was dated around 400 AD. But what Kalidasa says in Malavika Agnimitram, just in the beginning of the Nataka, one Pariparshika, a character in the Nataka, he just comes on the stage and asks the Sutradhara, saying that in Sanskrit, Prathita Yashasam Bhasha Saumillaka Kaviputradinam Prabandhan Atikramya Vartamana Kavehe Kalidasasya Kriyayam Katham Bahumanaha. Then Bhasa Kaviputra Saumillakaha Kavayaha Praktanaha. This explanation has been given by the commentator who wrote a commentary on Malavika Agnimitram. What actually the Pariparshva is saying, he is saying that there were already a very renowned historical poets like Bhasa, Saumilla, Kaviputra, means he was a Ramilla. They have written very great dramas or natakas. Why we are neglecting those natakas, and we wanted to play a drama written by a recent Kavi, means a Vartamana Kavi, contemporary poet like Kalidasa. So it means, it historically what Pariparshika is saying, that Bhasa, Saumilla and Kaviputra, means Bhasa, Ramilla and Saumilla, they have to be dated at least few centuries before Kalidasa. Okay. So what is saying, they were actually historically they have to be dated prior to Kalidasa. But what modern textbooks do, and even if we read the Kalhana's Rajatarangini, he refers to Bhartrimenta, Ramilla, Saumilla were in the court of Sriharsha of Pushpabhuti dynasty, and Matrigupta, actually Matrigupta, he was also in the court of Sriharsha, and Sriharsha appoints Matrigupta as the king of Kashmir, because At that time, the Kashmir king died without any successor. Then there was a request from the Kashmir ministers to the Sriharsha, you have to appoint a king of Kashmir. Then Sriharsha sends Matrigupta to Kashmir with a letter without telling him that he is appointing him as a king of Kashmir. He actually becomes a messenger and takes to the letter to Kashmir. And ministers, when they opened the letter and they read that, okay, they have to appoint the same guy who has brought the letter. So it was Matrigupta. This was the story given in Kalhana's Raja Tarangini. So Matrigupta was appointed as a king of Kashmir. So the Ramilla, Saumilla, Bhartramenta, and Matrigupta were the contemporaries. They four were in the court of Sriharsha. And this is a chronologically well established fact. Now the problem is the historians what do? They date Kalidasa in 400 BC, 400 AD, and they date Ramilla, Saumilla, Bhartrimanta, Matrigupta, and Sriharsha in the 7th century, because they date Sriharsha along with the Pulakeshin, Chalukyas, and 638. They just have a date of 619 AD or 638 AD. In that year, Pulakeshin defeated Sriharsha. So Saumilla, Ramilla, Bhartrimenta can't be dated before 7th century. Then how Kalidasa, who lived 200 years before these famous poets, and he is saying that they were my predecessors chronologically. So this is a very glaring chronological mistake. But if you read the Alberuni's India, translated by one of the Western scholars, the Alberuni, he gives the epoch of Sriharsha era. A Sriharsha who introduced an epoch of Sriharsha era in 457 BC. And he says that 400 years before the Vikrama Samvat. Now, the traditional chronology very well establishes that Ramilla, Saumilla, Bhartrimenta were at least 400 years or 350 years before the Kalidasa. This is the reason why Kalidasa says that Bhasa, Saumilla, Kaviputra, they were actually old poets chronologically, some ancient poets in comparison to Kalidasa. But modern chronology, it reverses. He makes Kalidasa as more ancient than the Saumilla, Ramilla. This is the very glaring chronological mistake. If we establish the Shakaira problem, then easily Kalidasa has to be dated in 1st century BC. And the traditional chronology or traditional epoch of Sriharsha era commenced in 457 BCE, 400 years before the Kalidasa and 400 years before the Vikrama Samvat, epoch of Vikrama Samvat. This is how we can very well explain the statement of Pariparshvika in Malavikagnimitram. Now, let us explore the Ramilla was the author of Maniprabha, and Bhartrimenta writes Hayagriva-Vadha. So 457 BCE is the date of Sriharsha because he became the king and he introduced an epoch. And Ramilla, Saumilla, and Bhartrimenta, Matrigupta were in the court of Sriharsha. And Sriharsha's epoch I have established based on the information given by the Alberuni in his book. Now, these Ramilla and Bhartrimenta were in the 5th century BC. What they write it, I'll just give you Maniprabha. This is the shloka. Harsha Kshoni Pateshta Harsha Matulam. Clearly is referring to Harsha, King Harsha. Then he is mentioning Guru Shankarendra. Guru Shankarendra Yatish Ramilaha and Maniprabha. Then what is giving next information? Jagat Guru Karunaya Vidyaghanasya. Vidyaghana, he was actually a Shankaracharya appointed in Kashmir, because Kashmir also had a one Pitha called Sarvagya Pitha. Kashmir or Kanchi, these two are Sarvagya Pithas, because during the time of Adi Shankaracharya, Kashmir and Kanchipuram, both were the famous centers of Buddhism. So he traveled there and he defeated many Buddhist philosophers in a debate. This was the reason the king of Kashmir and the king of Kanchipuram honored Adi Shankaracharya by seating him on Sarvagya Pitha. This was the reason the two pithas have been established. Apart from that, four pithas, Adi Shankaracharya established those pithas, and they had some, because Kashmir, we don't have any historical records of Kashmir Sarvagya Pitha, but in the drama written by Ramilla, he refers to Vidyaghana and his disciple Shankarendra, who was the Sarvagya Pitha during the time of Ramilla. So those who were living in the 5th century BC are referring to the Shankaracharyas of Sarvagya Pitha of Kashmir. So, and the Matrigupta, the reference to the Matrigupta by Ramilla, and Matrigupta's reference is Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Even in the Hayagriva Vadha written by Bhartrimenta, these are actually, these shlokas have been quoted in a Acharya Vanshavali maintained by the Kanchipuram. And the Hayagriva Vadha, there is a shloka, Khyata Shri Shankarendra Prachuratara, and then he is referring to Matrigupta. So, the both, the Ramilla and Bhartrimenta, both are referring to Sri Shankarendra, who was the head of the Sarvagya Pitha during the time of Sri Harsha. So, in the middle of 5th century BC, already a Sarvagya Pitha existed in Kashmir, and the Shankarendra, disciple of Vidyaghana, was the head of that Sarvagya Pitha in Kashmir. And this we can cross-reference, we can refer to Kalhana's Rajatarangini, and Kalhana is giving a lot of information about Matrigupta, how he became the king of Kashmir. And Bhartrimenta was initially in the court of Sriharsha. Later he joins Matrigupta in Kashmir. And the Alberuni is clearly giving the date of Sriharsha in 457 BC. And he says that 400 years before Vikrama era, this epoch has come in. Even he calculated the dates up to 1031 AD. He has calculated how many years have been elapsed, starting from 457 BC to 11th century. So there is no ambiguity in the statement of Alberuni. He clearly says that the Sriharsha flourished in 457 BC. But modern textbooks simply date Sriharsha in 606 AD, almost 1050 years chronological error in dating of Sriharsha. So these are the errors in our traditional chronology. Actually, the modern historians have committed, because there is no way any reference to the Sriharsha era in 606 AD. There is no evidence, zero evidence. Since they read copper plates of Chalukya, then there it is written that Pulakeshin defeated Harshavardhana. But there were many Harshas who had a name. Even Danti Durga, his copper plates also refer to one Sriharsha whom Danti Durga defeated. Now, whether you will place same Harshavardhana during the time of Danti Durga, it's not. It's just a concocted identification. They thought that one Harshavardhana Pulakeshin has defeated. What we need to do, we need to first correct the chronology. Let us establish the timeline of first Sriharsha. Then let us establish the timeline of Pulakeshin. Then we have to establish whether both were contemporaries or not. There may be many who are having the same names. You can't simply, because like Chandragupta, there are many Chandraguptas, but the Western historians or Indologists, they have mistakenly identified with the Chandragupta Maurya. The same problem happened here also. They identify the Harsha mentioned in Pulakeshin's and in the Chalukya's inscriptions as the Sriharsha of Pushpabhuti dynasty. Actually, the Sriharsha was only king of Ujjain, and most probably I have identified him as the Vikramaditya of 1st century BC. because if we correct the chronology of the Chalukyas considering the ancient Shaka era, then Pulakeshi has to be dated in the 1st century BC, and we will have, and actually Kalidasa wrote a Nataka. That Nataka is called Kuntaleshwara Dautyam. There was, because the Ujjain king sends, actually Vikramaditya is sending Kalidasa as a emissary of Ujjain to king of Kuntala, the king of Karnataka, and most probably the Pulakeshi, because we actually that the text is lost now. That's no more available. Only few fragments quoted by some like Shemendra, those things are available. But Kalidasa's work Kuntaleshwara Dotram is no more available today. But that title suggests that there was a conflict between Karnataka king Kuntaleshwara and the Ujjain king. This was the reason why Vikramaditya sends Kalidasa as a ambassador to Kuntaleshwara, a king of Karnataka, for discussing the pact between both kingdoms. So these are the certain nitty-gritties of Indian traditional chronology. Now let us explore the what actually, because what I have established now unambiguously based on the literary evidence of Kalidasa's statements as well as the Ramilla and the Bhartrimehta statement, they are referring to Sarvagya Pitha established by Adi Shankara in 5th century BC. So Adi Shankara has to be dated prior to Sri Harsha. Okay, but what modern historians do, 606 AD is the date of Sri Harsha. Now they place Adi Shankaracharya 708 years, almost 200 years later they place Adi Shankara. I don't know. They have no respect for any literary evidence of Indian literature. So this is called a very, very childish methodology of historical research, and we lost a lot of chronological history. And the traditional chronology says that Tishye Prayatyanala Shevadhi Bana Netre. Clearly, he is mentioning that Adi Shankaracharya was born 2593. Tishya is Kali Yuga. He is referring to an epoch of Kali Yuga. Actually, Kali Yuga had different epochs. I have already explained various calendars, because during the Mahabharata we had a calendar of Paitamaha Siddhanta that followed Magha Shukladi calendar. We had a Brahma Siddhanta that followed Chaitra Shukladi calendar, and we also had another Vaishnava tradition of Brahma Siddhanta. They followed a different year of Prabhava. So, and we have a Surya Siddhanta written by Latadeva, who takes an epoch of Kali Yuga 3101 BC. But all these calendars are between 3176 BCE to 3101, within those 75 years, all accepted. Now we have to only find out from which date we have to calculate this 2593 years, because it is clearly mentioned that Adi Shankaracharya was born in the year 2593. And he is mentioning Nandana Samvatsara and Vaishaka Shukla Panchami, and today is Vaishaka Purnima, and now the just 10 years before the Vaishaka Shukla Panchami, and in Punarvasu Nakshatra. What I have established that because the Surya Siddhanta written by Latadeva was actually we were following only in the 2nd century AD. Before that, we were not following that Surya Siddhanta written by Latadeva. We were following only either Brahma Siddhanta or Paitamaha Siddhanta. So, in those traditions, if we correctly calculate the Adi Shankaracharya, what my opinion is, we have to start calculating 2093 years starting from the Yudhishthira Samvat, because we have the tradition of Yudhishthira epoch before switching over to the Kali Yuga epoch of 3101 BCE. we have very popularly used Yudhishthira Samvat because Mahabharata era, the Magha Shukladi calendar was mostly popular. But later we switched over to the even Chaitra Shukladi calendar also later. Then we had a Kartikadi calendar. But we also followed this 60-year cycle, that Nandana Samvatsara. So Nandana Samvatsara is possible only in 568 or 508. Only two issues. So what the Shankaracharya Pitha of Kanchi Matham, what they do, they just calculate 2593 years starting from 3101 BC. Then we can establish the date of Adi Shankaracharya 508, and we can somehow reconcile the literary evidence and everything. But there are certain issues. What we need to do, why I want to place 60 years before the 508, because Adi Shankaracharya says Gaudapada was his Parama Guru and his Guru was Govindapada. Now, Adi Shankaracharya probably met in the last year. Actually, the Gaudapada Acharya was almost his on his deathbed when Adi Shankaracharya met him. Now, we have to place Adi Shankaracharya very at the last stage of the life of Gaudapada Acharya. But if we date Adi Shankaracharya in 508, it would be extremely difficult to establish the contemporaneity of Adi Shankaracharya with Gaudapada Acharya, because Gaudapada Acharya was born somewhere 650 BC. So he may have lived even 100 years. He 550 BC maximum, even 5-6 year plus minus. We may take 545 or maximum 540. We can't date even later than 540 because there are many the internal evidences also even certain established that Adi Shankaracharya refers to Gaudapada. And one more fact that one Ratnamalika, it refers to one Apollonia. Actually, they're referring to Apollonius Tanya of the Greek philosopher. He actually became the follower of Gaudapada Acharya. This fact has been written, and we have to establish the date of Gaudapada Acharya and contemporaneity of Apollonius Tanya is actually a leading Greek philosopher during the time of Gaudapada Acharya. So these facts actually establish that we have to calculate Adi Shankaracharya's birth starting from Yudhishthira Samvat, not from the 3101 epoch of Surya Siddhanta, because we followed Surya Siddhanta calendar only somewhere after Shakas, not prior to Shakas. We have never used that calendar. Now let us explore the internal evidence from the Adi Shankaracharya's works. So Adi Shankaracharya, actually we have already discussed about the date of Gautama Buddha. He has to be dated in his Nirvana has to be dated in 1864 BC. I have already explained the chronological error of 1380 years. Then we have to date Vasubandhu first before dating the Adi Shankara. Why? Because according to the numerous sources, even Chinese sources, there is actually a biography of Vasubandhu has been written in Chinese language. And one Paramartha, Indian scholar, he also wrote about Vasubandhu. And it is clearly mentioned that Vasubandhu lived 900 years after Buddha Nirvana. So the 1864 BCE is the date of Buddha Nirvana. If you minus 900 years, 964 BC. So we can place the birth of Vasubandhu around 960, and he lived up to around 80 years or 90 years. Somewhere in the beginning of 9th century BC, Vasubandhu attained Nirvana. So now we have to date Vasubandhu. Thereafter, we have to date Dingnaga, who was the disciple of Vasubandhu. Why? Because Adi Shankaracharya refers to Dingnaga in his extensively referred to Dingnaga in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, and he wrote many commentaries on even Upanishads and Gita. So Adi Shankaracharya refers to Dingnaga. So Dingnaga lived, we can say, around 950 years after Buddha Nirvana, and he was the disciple of Vasubandhu. So and then we have Dharmapala, because Dharmapala was the teacher of Dharmakirti. He lived around 250, 300 years later than Dingnaga. And Dharmakirti, he lived around during the time. Actually, Kumarila Bhatta and Dharmakirti were senior and junior contemporaries. And in a way, Dharmakirti was a senior contemporary of Adi Shankaracharya, because Adi Shankaracharya refers to Dharmakirti. So this is the chronology of the Buddhist scholars. And then the Adi Shankaracharya refers to Gaudapada Acharya as a Paramaguru, because he was the guru of his guru. So the maximum age difference has to be between Adi Shankara and Gaudapada, 70 years, 80 years maximum. So this is the reason why we need to date Adi Shankaracharya in the middle of the 6th century BCE, so that he is the very, very junior contemporary of Gaudapada Acharya, and he was a Dharmakirti was senior contemporary of Adi Shankaracharya. So Dharmakirti cannot be dated after 600 and 530, and he has to be alive during the time of Adi Shankaracharya. And one is the Gaudapada Acharya, then his disciple Govindapada, and Govindapada Acharya was the teacher of Adi Shankaracharya. So this is how we can date these things. And then one more issue, this we have to resolve, because Bhartrihari, there are numerous, Dingnaga actually refers to Bhartrihari. Actually, he criticizes Bhartrihari. Now again the problem, they say that Bhartrihari is the same guy who wrote the 3 Shatakas, Niti Shataka, Vairagya Shataka, and Shringara Shataka. But these actually the textual evidence and literary evidence is clearly suggests that there were more than one Bhartriharis. As per my research, there were actually 3 different Bhartriharis. We have actually mixed up the stories of all 3. How there were 3 Bhartriharis? Let us explore. There was the first Bhartrihari. He was the author of Vakyapadiyam. And the Bhartrihari was a junior contemporary of Vasubandhu and senior contemporary of Dingnaga. Why? Because Dingnaga criticizes Bhartrihari's Vakyapadiyam. So the Vakyapadiyam is a text, actually a philosophy, actually Indian grammar, the Sanskrit grammar and its own philosophy. And that is the Vakyapadiyam. We can say that the philosophy of word and meaning, we can say. So very, very complex subject. And this Bhartrihari, he wrote this text actually using the Spotavada, and almost that was influenced by Nagarjuna's Shunyavada. So Nagarjuna certainly lived 100 years before, or 70, 80 years before Bhartrihari. So Bhartrihari was the author of Vakyapadiyam. He lived before, actually is the senior contemporary of Dingnaga. But there is another Bhartrihari who lived in the beginning of 6th century BCE, and he was the contemporary of Gorakshanatha, that Gorakhnath, a famous Gorakhnath of Nath Sampradaya of Gorakhpur. And the Tibetan historian Taranatha, he mentioned that Gorakhnath was born during the time of King Shalivahana. That Shalivahana was reigning over the Ujjain and the central in the Maharashtra area during the time of 650 BC, 630 BC around. So we have to place the birth of Gorakshanatha also somewhere nearer Gaudapada Acharya, or at least Gorakhnatha was a senior contemporary of Adi Shankaracharya also. So during this time, there is a story that Bhartrihari, he was the king of somewhere in the central India, or I can say Chhattisgarh region or Gorakhpur region. So this Bhartrihari, lot of stories are there. So he was actually not the person who wrote Vakyapadiyam. He was only the contemporary of Goraknath. Later, he handed over the reins to his brother, and he becomes a saint, and he follows the footsteps of Gorakshanath. And we have another Bhartrihari who wrote all Niti Shatakas, and he was the brother of Vikramaditya, 1st century BC. Now, it is incorrect to say that the Bhartrihari who wrote Vakyapadiyam was the same person who wrote Shatakatraya, this Niti Sringara Vairagya Shataka. Why? Because the Bhartrihari 3 can't be dated beyond 1st century BC. So these confusions also created problems in Indian chronology. Once we clearly distinguish between these Bhartriharis, then we can correct the chronology. Why? Because the Dingnaga refers to Bhartrihari. So generally what this is, since Dingnaga is referring to Bhartrihari, Bhartrihari has to be dated. And they said that Bhartrihari is, even the modern historians date Bhartrihari somewhere 6th century or 7th century AD. These are the problems. What actually not problem, they have actually distorted the Indian chronology. Therefore, they could not, because Vasubandhu has to be placed, so they will Vasubandhu in the 5th century. Then they will place Dingnaga in the beginning of or at the end of the 5th century, 6th century BC. So 6th century AD. This is how they date the Adi Shankaracharya in 700 AD, around 788 AD. Now we have to date Kumarila Bhatta because he was a senior contemporary of Kumarila Bhatta. Actually, my research suggests that there were more than one Kumarila Bhattas also. There is a story of Kumarila Bhatta, who was a South Indian and is a very rich person, and he wrote Shlokavartika and Brihatika. And the actually Dharmakirti, he was first studied Mimamsa from Kumarila Bhatta, and later, because actually he did not disclose about Dharmakirti did not disclose to Kumarila Bhatta that he is actually a Buddhist scholar, but he just went to Kumarila Bhatta in saying that I am a Brahmana, I want to learn Mimamsa. And actually, some way Dharmakirti was a relative of Kumarila Bhatta. So he taught his Darshana Mimamsa. So Dharmakirti learnt the Mimamsa Darshana from Kumarila Bhatta, and later he criticized him because Dharmakirti was a Buddhist scholar. So now Kumarila Bhatta has to be dated actually a senior contemporary of Dharmakirti. So he cannot be dated later than Dharmakirti. And Prabhakara, an author of Brihati commentary, he was a famous disciple of Kumarila Bhatta. Actually, Prabhakara, though he was the disciple of Kumarila Bhatta, he criticized Kumarila Bhatta. That's why there are two different schools in Mimamsa Darshana, Kumarila Bhatta school and Prabhakara school of philosophy. They have a few basic differences in these two schools of philosophy. Then we have a Vishwarupa. He was from Mahishmati. Actually, the Adi Shankaracharya debates with Vishwarupa. Vishwarupa and Mandana Mishra were not the same. And Vishwarupa, he wrote a commentary on Yagyavalkya Smriti, and he establishes the date of, actually he refers to grandfather of Sri Harsha. So Vishwarupa has to be dated in the 6th century BC only. He was the contemporary of Adi Shankaracharya. Then we have another text called Tantra Vartika. Why? Because Tantra Vartika refers to a shloka from Abhigyana Shakuntalam of Kalidasa. And same Tantra Vartika is referring to Kumarila Bhatta's Brihatika. And he says that I am writing my text without violating the principles of Brihatika. So that Kumarila Bhatta, as per that, he was the North Indian. He belonged to Prayaga. Probably Kumarila Bhatta too belonged to Mithila. And even Mandana Mishra was also, actually Mandana Mishra and Kumarila Bhatta, Mandana Mishra married the sister of Kumarila Bhatta. And these both Mandana Mishra and Kumarila Bhatta, flourished in the 1st century BC. Now, there is a very long standing tradition that Mandana Mishra debated with Adi Shankaracharya. So now how we are going to correct it? Because the Kumarila Bhatta and Mandana Mishra cannot be dated beyond 1st century BC. And even Sureshwaracharya, because Sureshwaracharya criticizes Mandana Mishra, you cannot date Sureshwaracharya before 1st century BC. So this is another chronological problem. So actually there were two different Adi Shankaracharya. One was why we call it Adi Shankara, because there were more than one Shankaracharyas. According to Kanchipuram tradition, there were 5 famous Shankaracharyas: Adi Shankara, Kripa Shankara, Ujjvala Shankara, Muka Shankara, and Abhinava Shankara. So according to my research, one Shankaracharya, the Dvitiya Shankaracharya, the second Shankaracharya was Kripa Shankara, who flourished 16 years after Vikramaditya, Vikrama Samvat. That's why he has to be dated in 44 BCE. And Sringeri Matha traditionally followed this epoch, but later they changed to 788 AD under the influence of leftist historians. And I just refer to one Devya Paradha Stotra. This Stotra was written by one Shankaracharya. And he's saying that Maya Panchashete Radhikam Apanite tu Vayasi. He's saying that I have lived more than 85 years. Then I am writing this Stotra. But traditionally, Adi Shankaracharya lived only 32 years. Then how Shankaracharya himself is saying that I have lived more than 85 years? So we have to say that there were two different Shankaracharyas who have gone on the Digvijaya. They traveled all over India and defeated all schools of philosophies and established Advaita is the only philosophy, or they can say that this is the most scientific philosophy. So initially Adi Shankaracharya, who defeated the Buddhist or various philosophers in Kashmir and Kanchipuram, where Shankaracharya second, he traveled almost entire India and he revived the 4 mathas. And Sureshwaracharya, Totakacharya, those 4 famous Shankaracharyas of 4 Pithas were actually the disciples of Shankaracharya to Kripa Shankar. And even there is a Darshana Prakasha. It refers to that it was written somewhere middle of 17th century. And exact date has been given that Shankaracharya entered in the cave of Badrinath in Shaka 642. Shaka era 642. So the Shaka epoch 583 BC, you calculate for 642 years, 59 AD. So this second Shankaracharya lived almost 100 or 103 years. And there is a tradition that Adi Shankaracharya actually attained moksha in Kanchipuram. And the Adi Shankaracharya attained moksha in Kanchipuram, whereas the Kripa Shankara or the second Shankaracharya, he attained moksha in Badrinath. So this is also we can reconcile, because there is also a dispute about it where Shankaracharya attained moksha. Madhava Shankara Vijaya, actually it's Sringeri Matha, famous Shankara Vijaya, written by Madhava or Vidyaranya. And this Shankara Vijaya clearly refers that Mandana Mishra, Bhaskara Bhatta, Udayana, Bana Bhatta, Mayura, Dandi, Abhinava Gupta, Murari Mishra, the various scholars, and all these scholars can only be dated in 1st century BC or beginning of the 1st century AD. So certainly the Shankaracharya referred to in Madhava Shankara Vijaya was actually an account of a second Shankaracharya. And this Shankaracharya revived 4 mathas, and he put his 4 disciples like Sureshwaracharya at Sringeri, Hastamalaka in Dwaraka, and Padmapada in Govardhana Pitha Puri, and Totakacharya in Jyotirmat by Badrinath. So this is the difference. Otherwise, it is totally impossible to establish Mandana Mishra, Bhaskara Bhatta, even Bana Bhatta, they were lived because Bana Bhatta is referring to Kalidasa. You can't date Bana Bhatta before 1st century BC because Kalidasa was in 1st century BC. So these are the chronological problems. Why the modern historians struggle to establish Shankaracharya date. This problem, why we have the stories got merged. Adi Shankaracharya stories and this second Shankaracharya stories got merged into one account. Why? Because the same chronological confusion between the two Shakairas. That initial that Shakaira of 583 BC and 78 both got submerged. 606 year chronological error. Due to that, these two, the account of both Shankaracharyas got mixed up in a later period. Even Kudalimat, I will give you a copper plate, means an epigraphic evidence. This copper plate refers to a Shakaira of 1073. It means this copper plate can only be dated in the middle of the 12th century. And this copper plate is referring to Vidyaranya, even Vidya Shankara, Vidyanagara, even Sringeri Kanchipita and Sringeri Pitha. And one famous text of Shankara Vijayam, and this copper plate says that Mandana Mishra was a resident of a Varanasi. So, but what modern textbooks say that the Vidyaranya can only be dated at the end of 14th century only. If you can date Vidyaranya somewhere 1378 or 1375 AD, then how a copper plate in 12th century is referring to Vidyaranya? So there is serious problem in the chronology. So entire my research, the chronological study, says that there were actually 5 famous Shankaracharya and actually 2 Shankaracharyas who have who undertook the Digvijaya Yatras. Adi Shankaracharya had a Digvijaya Yatra from Kanchi to Kashmir, and where the second Shankaracharya who traveled from all, even went to Assam, he defeated Abhinava Gupta of Shakta Sampradaya there. Then he, many scholars, the reference given in the Shankara Vijay. So we can establish the facts, historical facts recorded in Shankara Vijayam, but we have to differentiate between these two Shankaracharya. One is the Adi Shankaracharya and the second Shankaracharya who revived the Advaita tradition. So Adi Shankaracharya, he lived in the middle of the 6th century BC and he lived up to 32 years. Then we have a Kripa Shankara, who was actually the Shankaracharya who revived 4 mathas, and he lived more than 100 years. And his account has been given in the text of Madhava Shankara Vijaya. Then we have a Ujjvala Shankara. It is very difficult to identify him, but I identify him Sarvajñatman. He is the 3rd Acharya of Kanchi Pitha. And there is a Shankara Vijaya written by one Atma Bodha, and he gives the account of Sarvajñatman. Actually, that Shankara Vijaya is the history of Sarvajñatman only. So Sarvajñatman was also a known as a Ujjvala Shankara. So he can only be dated in the 4th century AD. Then we have another reference in Keralotpatti, actually a text, a historical text of Kerala. This text mentioned that there was a one Shankaracharya in Kali Yuga 3501. It means around 400 AD. And one Atma Bodha, he says that Muka Shankara died in Shakanta 359 Shaka. This 359 has to be calculated starting from the 78 AD. So, and there was another fact in the Shankaracharya tradition that Shankaracharya lived up to 38 years. So that Muka Shankara who lived 38 years, not Adi Shankara. So he was born in Kali Yuga 3501. It means 399 AD, and he died in Shaka 359, that is 439 AD. And we have another manuscript, Arya Vidya Sudhakara. This manuscript gives a date of 788 AD, a birth of one Shankaracharya. He was actually Abhinava Shankaracharya. This is how we can reconcile the all literary evidences unambiguously, but we have to differentiate that there were 5 Shankaracharyas, famous Shankaracharyas in the tradition of our 4 mathas, and these facts have been very meticulously maintained in Kanchi Matha. So this is how we can reconcile entire literary evidences, because it's a very complex problem, because so many dates are there, so many people with those are who cannot be contemporary of Adi Shankaracharya, but Shankara Vijayam says they were contemporary of Shankaracharya, and somewhere it is said he lived up to 32 years, and somebody says he lived up to 38 years, and Devya Parada Stotra clearly says that I am writing this stotra when I have attained, actually I lived more than 85 years. So these can only be reconciled if we clearly establish the chronology of these 5 Shankaracharyas. Then every fact can be factually and chronologically can be explained. This is what I have established chronologically date of Adi Shankaracharya. So that's all for today.
Vidya, what a wonderful presentation, and the Adi Shankaracharya, the way you explained the dates, it puts all other dates behind, because it is very much true that he could have been before the Christians, BC and AD thing,
Yes.
because it is not possible he is born after that, because then otherwise the Cholas dates and others dates go haywire. So it is such
really our tradition that Sri Harsha, the
Yes.
dating of Sri Harsha, the Sri Harsha Samvat is there, and Kalidasa is saying them. So, and the contemporary of Sri Harsha, they're referring to Sarvagya Pitha and Shankaracharya, his tradition, Acharya Parampara. So, how can you? Every literary evidence suggests that he has to be dated in 6th century BC.
Correct. And the point is that like the most of the Christian missionaries or the faith-based colonialists, when they came to India,
Yes, yeah.
their whole idea was to distort the Indian dates so that they can establish their dates and claim themselves to be the oldest culture. That's what their whole goal was. But
they are actually faithfuls and philosophy-less traditions.
Yes,
we can call them. We had a philosophy, not faith.
Yeah, no, they have, we have both. We have both the faith as well as philosophy. But their point
is derived from the philosophy.
Correct.
Their faith is more violent, because either you agree or if you disagree, I will kill you.
Yeah, even today in the Western world, they do not take criticisms easily. They do not take. You cannot have philosophical debates in the Western world, even today. Like if you talk to a professor, we have a lot of experience here. If you talk to a professor and you say anything which he doesn't agree with him, he's going to walk away. He is not going to answer you. He's not supposed to answer you. So
then there is no logical conversation is possible.
No logical conversation possible. It's such a if Hindus from India, they want to argue with a Christian pastor, 99% of the time he said, God save you and I have nothing to do with you, and he'll walk away. And to their own people also, if their own people ask them any tough question, they'll ask them to get out of the church. I have no idea why people join the churches in India. I have no idea, because there is no discussion over there. At least in a Hindu temple, you can go to a priest and pandit and talk about it. You disagree, you can agree to disagree also, but not in a Western model, not in a church. And in fact, even that is true with the Jewish tradition also, in Islam as well, where when anyone tries to ask them any question, it's either you accept their word or you are out of the discussion.
Yes.
No. So that is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma, and I think you have put it so well. Very, very informative. And for viewers who loved it, do check it out on YouTube as well and comment on it. And also it will be on Twitter also shortly. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste, Aditya.